was standing on the balcony of my villa, when the call came. My father's voice was its usual blend of entitlement and rehearsed disappointment. Your golden sister's family is moving in. Don't like it? Leave. Just like that. 10 years of being the family inconvenience punctuated by the privilege of being ignored. I listened, silent, tracing the rim of the wineglass with my thumb. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I just whispered, all right. He thought it was surrender. It wasn't. It was permission. Because by then, the trap was already set. I used to believe my parents couldn't help it. That favoritism was a kind of blindness, not a choice. My sister, Mayim, born first, born loud, born demanding, she siphoned the oxygen in every room. I grew up learning to be quiet simply to hear myself think. When I graduated top of my class, they congratulated her for guiding me. When I bought my first car with my own savings, they scolded me for not letting her pick the color. And when she married a man whose only real achievement was a well-groomed beard, they treated it as if her union personally elevated the family's bloodline. By the time I turned 25, I realized something. I was the scaffolding. They only noticed me when they needed to climb. So I worked silently, obsessively until the day I bought a villa by the sea. My villa, my peace. They never visited. They never congratulated. They didn't even ask how I afforded it. But when my sister's debts piled up, when her husband's business unexpectedly collapsed, suddenly the daughter they ignored came into focus again. My parents claimed they just needed temporary accommodation. But the documents I found in my father's briefcase during a forced visit told a different story. They weren't planning to stay in the villa. They were planning to transfer it to my sister without telling me. They assumed the house was still in my name. It wasn't. That was the moment I felt the ground shift beneath me. Not from shock, but from clarity. They saw me not as a daughter, not even as a person, just an asset. And assets can be seized unless they're protected. I didn't confront them. That's what they expected. Emotion, anger, begging. Instead, I smiled. I served tea. I kept conversations shallow. Then I hired a lawyer. I transferred the villa to a private trust, airtight, untouchable. Not under my name, not under any name they recognized. I installed cameras. I documented every conversation, every insult, every entitled demand. And then I waited. 10 years of being cast aside had taught me patience. They arrived at sunset. 3 cars, 2 children, enough luggage to start a new civilization. My sister stepped out first, sunglasses on, though the sun was behind her. She didn't even greet me, just looked past me at the villa and smiled like a queen inspecting her new palace. My mother brushed past me with that familiar, dismissive pat on my arm. "You'll need to move your things out of the master bedroom," she said. "Mayim needs space." I simply nodded. Of course, every word I spoke that evening was a match dropped onto their assumptions. They thought the fire was for warmth. They didn't see the gasoline. The next morning, they gathered in the living room, complaining about the air conditioning, the guest towels, the inferior tea I served. I placed a folder on the table and sat opposite them, calm, steady. "What's this?" my sister asked. "Just something you should all see." They opened it. One by one, their expressions shifted from confusion to disbelief to the faintest hint of fear. It was the property trust, the updated title deed, the time-stamped legal transfer. "This villa isn't in my name anymore," I said quietly. "And it's certainly not available for gifting." My father slammed the papers shut. "You can't do this." "I already did." My mother's voice trembled. "Where will we stay?" I shrugged. "You told me last night this place was yours." I assumed you had a plan. My sister stood abruptly. Are you throwing us out? No, I said, leaning forward. I'm reminding you that you were never invited in. Their shock felt like the first clean breath I'd taken in years. They left within an hour. No dramatic speech, no apology, just the sound of car doors slamming like punctuation marks in a story finally ending. That night, alone again, I walked to the balcony. The sea was calm, as if mirroring me. Revenge wasn't fire. It was precision. It was silence sharpened into a weapon. It was letting people walk into the consequences they built with their own hands. I didn't win by fighting them. I won by stepping out of the role they wrote for me. And now this villa isn't just a home. It's a monument, a reminder that being cast aside only hurts until you realize you were never meant to stand with people who can't see your worth. And that sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply owning the life they tried to claim.